The ongoing pandemic has disrupted business operations across the industry verticals. With a focus shifting to return to work safely, organizations are examining a variety of out-of-the-box options to address both the current and foreseen challenges and adapt well to the new work environment. Enormous planning, strategic thinking, and integrated digital solutions are being explored to bring in the safety checklist, health surveillance, workflows, contactless task management, inspections on the go, smart decision making dashboard, and much more. With this thought, I, Momita Dev Chaudhary, special correspondent with Express Computer, welcome you all on behalf of the Indian Express crew, SAP and YASH Technologies to this insightful web conference on Safe at Work, a standard prepackaged SAP EHS solution that enables you to efficiently manage and monitor EHS business scenarios. Today, we have with us eminent speakers such as Rajiv Singh, VP and Business Head, Strategic Industries, SAP, Christian Polivica, Director, EHS Solutions Management, SAP Southeast, Yogesh Nagpal, Global Head, EHS COE, YASH Technologies, and Venkat N, Vice President, IT, Olam. Also, this is to let you know that all the attendees will receive a digital certificate for the participation in the webinar. So let me read out the house rules first. Okay, so this webinar is being broadcasted live and will be available as on demand on your website. This is an audio video webinar. We'll have poll questions in between, request all to participate in the same. We'll have a round of Q&A at the end of this session. You can send in your questions using the Q&A text box and we will address the same based on the time after the discussion. If you face any technical issues, please use the Q&A text box to send in your issues and we will try to solve the same to the best of our abilities. If any of your questions are unanswered, we will contact you over email to answer the same. So now it's time to invite Mr. Rajiv Singh on the virtual dais to deliver the keynote address and make his presentation thereafter. Rajiv Singh is responsible for driving SAP's business strategy, revenue, and customer success in public sector undertakings, public utilities, defense, central and state government departments for SAP in India. He has been with SAP for nearly a decade in various roles. Rajiv is passionate about digital transformation in public sector as it directly impacts the life of Indian citizens and has led some of the largest transformational projects of the country for SAP, including Department of Post, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, utility sector reforms under AP, DRP, and IPDS, unreserved ticketing system of railways, etc. As part of SAP's CSR project, he is involved in Code Unnati initiative that has helped more than 4 lakh youths become digitally literate. So over to you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Momita. Can you hear me well?
Yes, Rajiv, I can hear you.
Yeah, so thank you. And I'm excited to be part of this very relevant topic in today's time. And I'm also excited that we have some very, very interesting speakers in this session coming forward. So I'll just quickly share my presentation. As I said, it's fairly exciting to talk about this time. Just wanted to start by saying that, I'm very happy to see number of audience, the people that I've seen. I'm told that around 200 people are watching this session. Right now we are crossing 100. And it is a testimony to the fact that safety has become one of the most important topics today, more than ever before. The current pandemic has made several impacts on our lives, be it the way we work, the way we manage our families, or the way we take care of our employees. Given that businesses need to move on, employees need to come back to work and have all the possible safety measures that companies need to take. This pandemic also has disrupted business operations across industry verticals. And while we observed slowdown in some verticals, others like public sector and essential services showed us the speed and agility that we couldn't have even imagined. Among and all this, and among all this, nobody ignored the health of its employees. And I've personally been involved in some of the organizations of essential services, and the way they have taken up this challenge since 20th of April is absolutely commendable. This biohazard has mandated us to look for new workplace safety protocols, and we have seen various guidelines by governments, health organizations, or organizations on new work from home guidelines. And so let's look at how has this impacted the organizations across the verticals. So since March, most of the businesses have struggled with labor shortages. Companies are doing all they can to instill confidence in employees that they're safe at work while handling other business continuity challenges. And it's not been easy. We've seen migration of very low skilled labor, and we've seen the challenges that even the mid management has faced during this pandemic. One of the examples I just wanted to take here was in one of the large public sector undertakings. The challenge that they picked up was one courier person who had come to deliver an invoice could contaminate 3 of their employees in one of the refineries. And that's what started setting the whole ball. This is all in May. And we started noticing them coming to us and talking about how can this entire process be changed so that my employees are safe. Now, that's on the labor shortage side and the challenges that we've faced. There are supply shortages. There are demand fluctuations, which we have not seen this kind of fluctuations in a long time. New customer channels are evolving, and as per local conditions, there are constrained capacities when it comes to manufacturing and logistics in particular. The way we saw some of the trucks being stopped at borders, it was a complete nightmare, especially in India. The world now needs operational, resilient supply chains more than ever before, in order to bring the needed goods and service to the end consumers. And I don't have to really delve upon this more. We all know that the way the supply chain has changed, evolved. There are organizations who are proactively taking measures on this. And by digitizing the supply chain, companies are better able to address these vulnerabilities. Now, at the peak of the lockdown period, one of our large conglomerate customers did not have a demand problem. Neither did they have a supply problem, but they could not deliver to market for a period in time because they could not find loaders. And that's what we're talking about, the supply chain and the resilient supply chain, the whole logistics issues that came up. A resilient supply chain is unattainable without safety of people, especially in these kind of pandemics. And understandably, the immediate focus for businesses is safety and welfare of their employees. As is evident from this survey, that is a survey for manufacturing industries globally. And we believe with the breadth and depth of SAP's digital supply chain solution portfolio, we can help customers quickly address these types of questions, challenges, and at the same time strengthen their foundation. The need for safety has always existed. I mean, it's not that COVID has changed it. And one example I want to take is that recently we heard incident happened, and I'll take name of that customer in NTPC. There was a boiler issue that happened. Then recently we heard ONGC. In ONGC, one of their major plants got big fire, and it is very recent. So the need for safety for employees, for their assets, for organizations has existed for a long time. COVID has just brought EHS as a topic to the forefront, right? And as per McKinsey 2020 study, major disruptions occur every 3.7 years, causing losses worth 45% of 1 year's earnings, which is EBITDA, every decade. Those are big numbers. And while we need immediate measures to tackle current pandemic situation and comply with safety guidelines, The long-term vision is not limited. Any risks, disruptions that can impact employee safety, business continuity, or environmental risks, and this is also an important topic, need to be taken into account. And SAP is the platform to drive an integrated approach to manage any of these risks. Digital technologies like IoT sensors can be integrated with enterprise data to arrive at actionable insights and ensure total visibility. And this is really possible today. And as you will hear from some of the experts from SAP YASH Technologies and our guest speaker, SAP EHS can help create an integrated and holistic approach to embed safety into all operations, ensures critical safety information is available to all, and provide broader EHS capabilities with a long-term view. And on that note, I invite you to leverage today's conversation by making it interactive. Thank you, Momita, and I will now hand it back to you to take it forward.
Thank you so much, Rajiv, for the wonderful presentation. And now may I please invite Mr. Christian Polivic to talk on employee health and safety. Over to you, Christian.
Yeah, so thanks a lot. And also thank you, Rajiv, for setting the scene. There were a lot of good and very true data points which you mentioned. If I just can pick one, you mentioned safety was always around for several decades. This is very true, but the relevance which we see for our customers, how the pandemic situation have put EHS to the forefront, really is changing the entire setup in our organizations. It's we have several analysts prove that basically the safety folks together with operations and HR are managing the return to work in the companies. And therefore, speaking as a practitioner myself, before I joined SAP, I was a safety engineer. I just can embrace that situation that we finally get this attention and which deserves the topic. But of course, it's terrible that we need these kind of circumstances. So let me quickly introduce to you a bit of a history where we are coming from SAP on the topic, and also how we look at safety in that context. So this slide, the main message, what I want to convey here, for me, it's important that you understand we are not just doing this since beginning of the year. We basically have a long history in that topic, and that evolved over the decades. So I'm emphasizing that particularly because basically in 2010, there was a big decision made by SAP at that time. If I would have to rank, this is basically everything what was delivered upfront was the first generation of EHS application. And these days I would even declare them as not really being fit for purpose. I mean, it's all outdated. The technology at that time was not that advanced. We didn't have mobile applications, and all the functionalities are way behind from what we have today. But even in 2010, SAP realized the relevance of the topic and decided to refurnish the entire HSE portfolio from scratch, basically. And that was then evolved over the next 5 years. And when we hit 2015, SAP introduced the next or the current big ERP generation, S/4HANA, you might have heard. So for SAP, that was really a big thing. We are existing more than 40 years, and that is the 4th generation of ERP. And it was for me and for us in the EHS space also a very big thing, because we were part of that from the very beginning. So as we already renovated the applications, we basically were able to jump on that new platform and build on the new capabilities in that new platform and evolve there further. So basically, since the last 5 years, the applications have been evolved in this environment. They are very strong native applications, and when it comes to analytics, a very strong focus on mobility. The UI is totally different. It's game changing. And obviously, when it comes to safety, it's a lot about changing people's behavior, influencing them. And if you're not having applications which are used and which are not engaging to the workforce, you miss the mark, and this will not do the job. So therefore, that really gave us a huge push, and it's basically brought the applications to the next level. And we also have new technologies in that platform available, really kind of innovative functionalities like machine learning and artificial intelligence. All of that can be leveraged there. So that just to give you a bit of the history where we come from. And it's basically important when you have already seen SAP EHS that you are aware that there are different versions around. And currently we have, this is basically the portfolio. I just quickly wanted to share this with you so that you see we have a comprehensive platform. I would claim that the most relevant applications are there. If you're an EHS practitioners, there shouldn't be too much to miss. You see the waste management application. This is basically the last thing which we are now currently developing and bringing to the new platform. We have an old version, but on the new platform, this is currently being done. And yeah, as said, it's really comprehensive when it comes to delivering the right applications to the practitioners. But we have a strong focus on having the right mobile apps, engaging with the technicians for data collection, allowing everybody to record the safety observation. So it's these small things which really bring the applications to the forefront. And the other thing is also that this is embedded in the SAP S/4HANA platform, so we can natively leverage all of these others, master data and processes like asset management, like HR data. And so the applications speak to each other, but also speak to and share the information with these other SAP modules. And what I also wanted to share is where we are in terms of our customer base. I already mentioned we're doing that for quite some time. Pure EHS, it's really in the market since 23 years. The customer base is around 2,100, which are on our EHS platform. And if we look at the user numbers, this is of course hard to tell, but we counted about 1.3 million if we do some estimates. So you can tell there are really big customers on this platform, and particularly in asset intensive industries, we have a very strong footprint. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, British Petroleum BP, they were already a customer on our older platform for a couple of years. They moved now onto the new S4 platform, and we got great feedback from them. And they have basically more than 100,000 users online using the application. So that's one of the great successes then, to see customers are being happy and moving on the journey with us on the new generations. And we also have in India several of these kind of customers like Reliance. And we will have a guest speaker also speaking today. So what I also wanted to quickly touch on, as I said in the intro, I want to share how we look at the topic around safety, not just in the pandemic, in general, basically, and also what I see at clients, how this evolved over time. So basically, if I talk about the maturity level at customers, what I see is a lot are still doing things in different spreadsheets, having here a point solution, there a cloud application, but there is no consensus. And the worst thing with this is it's all kind of isolated, and that's why I put here. It's kind of the HSE practitioners are kind of on an island, and I have the feeling that's part of our nature and tradition. HSE folks always felt special and we did our thing, but we miss a lot if we are not part of the core operations, and we cannot be that efficient. That's for sure. And I see that awareness growing more and more. So therefore, the lowest awareness, I would really say, using different systems and using a lot of manual processing, being isolated. The next thing then is, of course, if you realize we have HR data, people being involved in these processes, so you share here and there data. So often this is done overnight, data being copied over, and that at least gives you some linkage and eases the work of the HSE practitioners, because they have the enterprise context in terms of the data being used. And that is very relevant for assets and personnel data and financials. The next maturity level, and I would really draw a big line here, it's a key difference between just copying over data from one bucket to the other and having no real connection, versus looking at processes and having processes being integrated. So having automated triggers into other line of businesses, understanding what is going on there. If we talk about contractor work, providing them automatically with the right risk-based certificates, and what's the profile for the training for them, or if a person changed the job, so automatically giving them a push, what kind of protocols, surveillance protocols are needed. So all of that is available. And as in SAP, these master data are shared and the processes are available in one platform being managed. So we can automatically hand over and push these processes. So that's really a big difference from just handing over data and copying data. Then the next thing is really, if all these things are, the processes connected and the data shared, you can also get to the bottom of things with doing really insightful analytics. So understand what happened and even go one step further and do modeling. If you change one parameter, how could the system, how could the safety performance then behave in this context? So this is also what we have in our applications. I would say that's basically where we are currently, using all these cohesive, integrated platform and going into insights with the analytics. And where I really want to go with the next generation then, obviously, is to leverage all this connectivity of the different processes and the new technologies to have an ongoing learning of the applications, that situational awareness is created. If something happens, technology is guiding the people at the front line, picking up information from all different sources within the application and pushing it proactively to the frontline worker. So this continuous improvement of systems, of processes, that for me is really the next level where we want to be with our applications. So with that, I'm pausing here. Basically, I'm done. I understood we will have in the end some question and answers. So I'm happy to jump on a dialogue with you then. But for now, I would hand over to Mohimita. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian, for this very insightful session. And with this, it's time to invite Mr. Yogesh Nagpal, Global Head, EHS, Center of Excellence, YASH Technologies. And today, he is going to speak on Safe at Work, Building Resilient Workplace. So over to you, Yogesh.
So I think my fellow colleagues over here have set the stage for this discussion forward. The way we heard from Rajiv, the new normal, how it would look like when we all get back to work. We have heard from Christian how SAP as a partner is all aligned to make our life safer and sustainable, not just now, but for past 25 years. The solution has matured in its own journey and in its own course. But as we are focused pretty much in our today's pandemic situation, let us look at, again, from my perspective, what the new normal looks like. So in the new normal, what we used to say, in fact, I was also reading some question, which was talking about, we all know that we will not be able to work in the same capacity the way we were able to work before. Many of us are working from home, we are working remote. Now, these things may continue for some time, but we have to figure out, when I say we together along with the EHS team, the facilities, HR, and management team have to figure out ways to bring back people back to work. Again, when you get the people back to work, the workplace has to be redesigned. Now, if you have a 250 people capacity in one shift, that probably may not be the case now. Now you may have to have the decreased capacity, increase the distance between two people, two workstations. All those things probably will take a toll and needs a lot of planning. And finally, a lot of emphasis will come on our health records. So again, in any operation or manufacturing industry, health and safety has been of key concern. Again, there are routine checkups, medical examinations, records. But now with this COVID and pandemic situation, I think situation has gone again further ahead. Now, a constant monitoring of the health records will be done. A lot of sanitization drives will be done. A self-awareness towards safety, again, in a common worker, which was more like a push till now, this is more like a pull. The people are asking that if I come back to office, whether I can feel comfortable or not. And that's where this pull mechanism will drive a better safety culture, which we all are anticipating in the new normal world. Now, what we did is that we tried to portray a workflow. Let's say that if we are all, at home today, on 1st of January, we all assume that the things will get better. If we have to get back to work, then what probably would be the process steps? What would be defined way to get us back into that action? So first of all, I think many of us probably have already done this, but majority of the companies would be asking to fill us the preliminary health checklist. So a checklist which can come on my email, on my phone. I can update some records. I can tell that my health situation is good. Did I get an impact of COVID in the last 8-9 months time? Am I feeling fine now? Do I have any medical history, which probably my HR team, my EHS team should know? And hence, based upon the data which I enter into this checklist, the system will either allow me to come to office, or probably I'll get the relevant guidance and the notification from my office teams, from my office staff for the further correspondence and further action. Now, this is, I'll call it as the step 0. Once I approve through this step 0, then I think the next step for me is to have that on-site health surveillance as well. Manufacturing setup, when you onboard the bus, we have seen whether we go to a mall or we go to a shopping complex or we go to our offices, that the thermal scanners are installed, the social distancing, protocols have been set. So all this data is being collected, all this information is going digitally into the system and keeping a track on who is entering my office, at what time he is entering, what is his health condition, is his temperature okay? Now at one point of time, we can check the temperature and let it go. But if I need to go further into a situation, think about that the contact tracing functionality, it would actually need the time and as well as the personal identity of the person who has been in contact with a set of people in last 8 hours, in the last 3 days, last 1 week time. And that's where this entire information, probably a lot of information which probably gets gathered and has to be analyzed on time-to-time basis. Then once, let's say we all get back to work, we're all working, but if I see any deviation, how fast, how prompt I can trigger notification. Now, we all probably can be at different sites and different work areas, different departments, locations, but a centralized mechanism of reporting the deviation, letting the right authorities know about those deviation and illnesses, and hence trigger an appropriate action, which means it can be an action for a particular person, his supervisor, a set of employees, the occupational health, the doctor and the occupational health staff, the HR team, administration team, maintenance team, getting a quick notification to all those team members for any deviation or any critical information piece which is relevant at that point of time. And then an inbuilt mechanism of hazard analysis, risk assessment, which is absolutely essential, will be done more frequent. The audits, inspections, sanitization drive, as I mentioned, lot much of, I'll call it as the best of this, the audits will be done from a safety as well as health perspective, need to be done into the system. Again, I've seen many companies where this sanitization and cleaning was a daily affair. Now probably we are doing the sanitization and cleaning almost after every shift. In fact, within a shift during the lunch break, we go for a sanitization drive, knowing that again there may be a situation of an infection being there on the workplace. Now, all this set of activities translating into appropriate corrective action, task management, so that multiple people who are spread across, while we are again remote, but we still get to have the access to the information, and drive effective action and decision making can be monitored through some kind of an automated task management system. That's something which will actually make our lives easy. And finally, if I'm able to see on a larger, my digital boardroom on my dashboards and statistics, how this entire pandemic is being monitored. I'm sure that majority of us who are there in our webinar would have developed some kind of dashboard, some kind of reports for their senior management to let them know number of people who got impacted, how many people could recover out of it, what are the measures we have taken, how do we ensure that we probably are better equipped to handle this wave 3, which we are just entering now, and do we really feel comfortable that with the processes we'll be able to cope up with it well, or we need to sophisticate our system. So a high-level process diagram would probably look like it. There may be more kind of customization, ifs and buts into this process flow, but yes, some of these things for sure are essential when I build a holistic framework of safety management, pandemic management at my workplace. I hope you will agree with me on this process flow. At the end of this session, we do have, again, a question where we can pick up some of these questions at that point of time. Now, you've seen this slide from Christian when he said that the solution has a lot of components. Again, it covers from incident management to environment management and worker safety and whatnot. The entire gamut of health and safety, what you do in a day-to-day business is all being covered. But for this specific need, we use this focused components, which were the one which you see highlighted here: incident management, occupational health, risk assessment, audit management, closely integrated with your HR master, is something which is a framework, or I call it an architecture of this safe at work solution, which can probably get you started with this pandemic management application. But I was seeing one of the questions which asked about management of change, work permit to work. So you see that those solutions are already part of this entire solution portfolio. So we can always scale up to the specific ask and expectation as we get going there. Now, talking about safe at work, again, you would have seen that in our titles, in our agenda, we have been mentioning this word safe at work. So it's a pre-packaged qualified SAP qualified solution. So what does pre-packaged qualified solution mean? That along with SAP, we started working on this solution early on in the February-March timeframe. I think pretty much when the COVID outburst happened in China, we started engaging with the team, understand, again, a lot of our partners, customers helped us understand the situation better. What would make sense for them if they wanted to drive an effective health and safety management system? And that's where YASH, SAP, and our esteemed partners came in together and built together scenarios. The process flow which you saw earlier is an outcome of those interviewing workshops which we have conducted and designed this solution to deliver those values. Mobile application, probably for reporting, quick deployment. Now, we are at a time where we cannot afford to get into a 6 months and a year-long projects. And specifically, we all wanted something quick, something which we wanted yesterday is something which is a need of the hour. And hence, these solutions, or this Safe at Work solution has been designed in various interesting packages, where the starter package can be implemented in as minimum as 8 weeks of time. So within 8 weeks of time, you are live with the basic functionality and then keep on scaling as we go along. We'll talk about some of those scenarios or some of those packages in the coming slides. It is integrated. It can be an integrated solution to your ECC if you are running still in an ECC. If you're already up to date with the latest trends and talks with S4HANA, so this solution is built on S4HANA. And if you are, again, leveraging, if you are working on other ERP application as well, this can still connect with your other ERP application. In fact, one of my case study or one of my project experiences, we have integrated this solution with multiple ERPs, S4 and ECC within the same company, because the 40 different plants who are running different ERPs at a stage, but their EHS system is one standardized S4HANA EHS management system. They are hosted on cloud, which gives them the best of the solution, still integrated with their ERP landscape. While they transform their journey to S4, this solution is already ready and ahead of the curve. And then interactive dashboards, which you need for your internal reporting and external reporting. This solution has been, again, built in close collaboration with industry experts, with our partner, with our SAP, and again, has been qualified by SAP as well as a partner package solution, which means the functionalities have been validated by SAP team that this meets the current business requirements to quite a lot of extent. Now, this tells me a quick architecture about how it will work into an S4 instance. I'm sure that there would be certain questions, and I am running on ECC. Can I leverage it? I do have, again, my HR data, which is out of SAP system. Again, on all those scenarios, the system can seamlessly work. We can talk about it, but this slide should give you a picture that if you are on S4HANA, this is an add-on component which get installed, implemented, and configured to give you the best of these functionalities which we're talking about. At the same time, if you are on ECC, we can still have a connection established with your HR, plant maintenance, and the production schedule to have the capacity planning, worker and organization management, and your functional location. I was talking about these packages. As you see that our starter package can be deployed in as little as 6 to 8 weeks time, which will get you started with the health declaration form, mobile application, some regulatory reporting, which may help you, and some interesting dashboards, which will kind of keep you moving and keep kind of getting you the daily stats and weekly stats, monthly reports on this situation and deviation. The gold package, which adds the risk assessment component and specific scenarios of audit, like if COVID audit checklist. So during this COVID, what are the things which has to be done on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, tasks being assigned to different individuals, the completion statistics, a spider web diagram to tell you that out of these 7 functional areas, 3 of them we are doing good, the other 2 we need to improve upon. So those kind of quick statistics can be done. All this is like mobile enabled, helps a lot while people are remote, moving, and again, out of their regular routine shift jobs. And then probably the platinum package, which also covers the occupational health, the detailed incident investigation with 5 whys, chemical management, chemical approval process, and whatnot. And these are very specific to the scenario. As you would have seen in that portfolio, the solution can be extended to further more areas and further more functionalities within the landscape. So I think I have to finish this slide a little quicker. So on this, the key benefits you would have seen on Safe at Work solution, pretty much as I talked about it, is faster implementation time. It meets to your requirements, which government and which our legislations have been putting together, meeting the internal as well as external reporting needs. Again, predefined health checklists. We can create a lot of audit schedules, protocols, corrective actions, task management. They ask about a completely digital, paperless, and a remote system. This probably can be one which probably builds all these functionalities. And with this pre-packaged approach, we will be able to, since now we are coming up with those predefined scenarios, the implementation time can be cut quite sizable, and hence that the time cut in an implementation time would definitely get you the advantage on the cost as well as the efforts. This is a time where I should maybe bring a quick demonstration of this solution. We have been talking about it for the past, again, 15, 20 minutes. A quick sneak peek into how the solution looks like, how the things are addressed in the system, because what you see is what most of us believe. So I'm going to say open a quick video and then we'll showcase it. This is a 2-minute video, nothing too much for kind of to go in details, but good enough to have you all a glimpse of what the solution looks like. I hope, Momita, the screen is visible. No need to confirm unless you see it. You see, this form gets across to the employees over here on their email, on their mobile application. It's filled, and you're getting on-screen notification. This data goes back into SAP, helps you drive the decision making. The screens over here are talking about the reporting process through mobile applications, how this entire thing can be reported. You saw if the employee taking a picture of it, what happened. And with that, a notification is being triggered to multiple stakeholders. This is how you will see it into your inbox and SAP Workplace. Now, what happens after this? Since you have reported an incident, now we can go further into it and we can go for investigation, financial tracking, which means tracking the insurances claims, various types of assets which get involved into this incident, people, machines, equipment. This was a task which got created. Now the task is being assigned to an individual for him to work on it. Pretty interactive layout with those Fiori applications coming up with those S4 HANA solutions. All my EHS community here would appreciate this risk matrix and risk grid. This is how in most of the cases we do now, the risk assessment and risk-related scorecard. Now, if you have a different risk matrix, those can be the minor tweaks can happen. This was a 5x5 matrix. We can create a 4x4 matrix and probably add more components to it as needed. On the screen, you see an audit management template. You see there are predefined questions. What the user has to go is just keep filling the answers on the response panel and then probably evaluate the audit, which will say that the audit passed or failed. So pretty much I think a lot of layout has already been built into the system. It is more about a quick execution which will help you keep going with this solution and which kind of a day-to-day action. So this was, I think, more on the solution part, which we covered, how the Safe at Work solution is built, what was the reason behind it, what are the functionalities which it covers, and you also saw from a quick demonstration how this closely integrated and interactive screens are giving you those valuable pieces of information which you need on a day-to-day basis. Many of us are either filling this information on papers, on Excel, on some third-party application, but all this is available within the SAP system with this framework. A couple of slides on YASH and for some of our case studies that probably will definitely help us understand the implementation of this solution better. So we are into this maybe working. YASH has been working into EHS space for past close to 14, 15 years now. The first project which we did was 2004 with a large chemical company, again, where we started our EHS practice. Again, in this last 16 years or so, we have grown to our, again, a sizable practice, a respectable partner into the EHS and sustainability space, having global footprints. A lot of our customers and consultants and projects being executed all around. Working hand in hand with SAP like this, we have been conducting multiple workshops, multiple, again, engagements for these focused industries across the regions. So do the entire end-to-end implementations of the EHS suite. We have built this. Safe at Work is the second solution which we kind of say have launched. In fact, we came up with another solution for Middle East market a couple of years back, which was it's called Safety One, very focused on the oil and gas companies for their specific needs on incident reporting. I'm talking about those, and then again year 2011, 2012, when this entire incident management, mobile application, Fury application, workflow and task management need to be customized a lot. So we came up with this pre-packaged solution like this and helped many of our companies for a faster implementation and project duration. Interesting case study. I think I would like to spend some time here. So this is a large organization which went for an S4, again, complete transformation with their EHS project. As I was mentioning, 40 different plants spread across 10 countries. And you see that, again, in such a vast and varied environment, again, the technology landscape may differ. And that's where some of the sites were on SAP ECC. Very few were already running S4 because of the local funding and local IT initiatives. But many others were with the acquired companies were running their homegrown or local ERPs. So while there was a longer initiative of 5+ years where this entire organization will come on S4HANA, the EHS team or EHS operations didn't want it to wait till the end of the curve. And that's where we took a leap ahead and we started building this EHS hub, the solution on cloud, hosted on cloud early on. So while, as I said, that we were still on, the company was running on multiple ERP landscape, EHS was implemented with S4, the latest components, 1809 version, on the Azure hub, on Microsoft Azure, tightly integrated with their ERP system. So the sites which were running on ECC, we could read the HR data, HR master from those sites. Globally, they were using Workday as an HR master, so we integrated backwards with their HR master with Workday. And those sites which were using Maximo or other ERPs, we could still integrate and get the functional location from those non-standard ERPs as well. So pretty much a varied environment, but this solution connected them, connected all these things together and gave them a one solution, one kind of a digital solution, which was meeting their requirements. Some of the quick, I'll say, the outcome of this project was, one, we reduced the injuries to almost like 15% reportable injuries in the first month, and this was all because of the behavioral change and more of the visibility on the being proactive on the data analysis and taking appropriate action at times. We increased the safety observation reporting, or we call it as behavioral-based safety observations, by almost 300% within the first quarter itself. Because now earlier it used to be into a paper, or at some places it was more of an Excel-driven approach. Now it is a digital approach with mobile. The entire around 30,000, around 28,000 people were given an access to this mobile application. Now, not everybody used it, but yeah, we still got around 10,000 plus people logging into the mobile device at one point in time, one or the other point of time. So if a very high adoption of this mobile application reporting, and again, this didn't stop here. This actually went with the integration with the RegScan, which is a regulatory content, the environmental data being tracked there, which again definitely went beyond only the incident management, health statistics, occupational health reporting. But again, as I mentioned, the outcome was that we could improve our environmental CDP grades, we could get the incident rate reduction, and most important, we could build a proactive culture of safety, which all of us in this forum are looking to build within our organization. Some more case study, again, the project we did in Gujarat, which was more of a waste and recycling project. The industrial waste, managing those industrial waste, again, in the most environmental as well as regulatory framework, ensuring that the waste is getting disposed in an appropriate way, waste manifest being generated. A different line of business, but includes that safety aspect of it pretty well, because the waste is more of effluents and all these hazardous ingredients which are coming out from various chemical and pharmaceutical life sciences processes. A large petrochemical company who implemented their detailed incident management and audit management process. So again, there's the case study. So again, I would be more than happy to take some of these questions as we come into the Q&A session. But pretty much, I think the solution has all these necessary functionalities which are necessary and needed for you to cover, probably as a foundation layer, the good to have from a reporting standpoint, integration standpoint, and the next generation. So on the slide you see those next generation solutions, which Christian was mentioning, that the solution is not just a reporting system, it is moving from reporting, moving from being proactive to predictive. We talked about being proactive with incidents, proactive with the statistics. Now we're talking about being predictive, where this augmented reality and virtual reality projects and prototypes are being kind of done by leveraging the same data and systems. Contract tracing, which is again, we are working with one of our mining company, mining giant, to build this contract tracing application, which tells you at a given point of time how many people are in a vicinity of the distance which you put into the tabular X as and the time which you can define. Real-time data analytics, AI capabilities, health monitoring. I think most of us are updated with the trends which are going on into this world of safety today. With SAP and with partners like us, we are helping to grow and align with the industry trends, making sure that our customers get what is the need of the hour, whether it is pandemic, whether it is operational excellence, or whether it is delivering a best-class organization and safe work culture at your workplace. With that, I think that was last end of my slide. I would give it back to you, Momita, for our customer speaker to take over.
Thank you, Yogesh. With this, it's time for the poll questions. So we'll just see the questions coming up on screen. Okay, so the question is here, and I'll just read out for the benefit of the audience. And it says, which of the business process seems more relevant or critical for you? Incident management, option 2, risk assessment, option 3, audits and inspection. Audience, please engage in the activity. We would want to know more about this from you. Your options are incident management, risk assessment, audits, and inspection. And here we have the results. Well, the highest, that is 56% says risk assessment. Well, 24% incident management and 20% audits and inspection. Thank you for this. We also have a second poll coming up. Okay, and I'll again read out the question. How are you managing the EHS, HSE operations in your organization? First option is SAP solutions. Second option, other cloud EHS solution. Third option, manual, and fourth option, others. Audience, please give in your responses to the poll question. We would want to know where are you in your journey. I'll again read out to you the options: SAP solutions, other cloud EHS solution, manual, and the last option is others. We want to know how are you managing the EHS. Okay, so with this, we have our next session on. So thank you so much, Yogesh, for the great presentation. It was indeed nice to hear from you. And may I now please invite Mr. Venkat and Vice President IT Olam on the virtual dais. Venkat is heading the global support for SAP and BI applications, which are used by users across 50 plus countries within Olam. He has also handled large programs within SAP, managing SAP implementations for business in US, Vietnam, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Egypt, Spain, and Turkey. Recently, he handled the SAP EHS safety system implementation covering 70 plus tier 1 manufacturing plants with Olam. So let's hear it out from Venkat about safe at work, building resilient workplace. Over to you, Venkat.
Thank you. Thanks, Mamita, and good afternoon, all of you. And thanks for this opportunity to talk. And I hope my screen's visible. So
Yes,
I'm
Venkat,
from
we can see your
Olam.
screen.
Just to give a small background on Olam, Olam International is a $22 billion agri-commodity major operating from over 70 countries across the globe, and we are headquartered in Singapore. We deal in agricultural commodity, farming, procurement, and selling, which is trading, processing, which is food processing, and distribution to our customers in many geographies. We deal in commodities like cocoa, coffee, rice, sugar, dairy, etc., edible oils. So these are some of the things, and we have 71 tier 1 manufacturing plants globally, and over 200 processing facilities, which are of a smaller scale. So that's a spread of Olam, just to give an idea. And this program is about the EHS implementation that we are doing for 71 tier 1 manufacturing facilities of Olam globally. So we'll talk about it quickly. So Olam has a strong record on safety, and our objective is to ensure a safe workplace for our employees. So we have a safety program that's being followed globally by the global safety team, and this comes directly, and this safety team reports directly into a group CEO, Mr. Sunny Burgess. So giving the importance that the organization places on safety. So moving on, before we get into it, just a few semantics, how we track safety. We use two metrics, which is lost time injuries, which is the number of lost time injuries occurring in a million hours in a month. So, which shows the extent of lost time due to safety. And the second is TRFR, which is a total recordable frequency rate. This computes the number of accidents that are happening, typically anything that is in the nature of an accident, restricted work case, or a medical treatment case in a million hours of work. So this is how we are tracking safety in our system. And this is just to give a snapshot of us rolling 12-month safety across the globe. So we've had close to 9,500 unsafe acts and conditions for our tier 1 facilities. That's there. And then over 700 near misses recorded. And then, of course, unfortunately, we've had four fatalities also. So safety is quite important for us because we are in the agri industry, and there is a lot of manual activities that happen. So safety is paramount for us. So we went on to implement this. We evaluated a few systems on safety, and we went on to implement EHS system. Earlier, prior to that, we were on another system, and we migrated from there to EHS. So primarily was to get a better visibility on the safety aspects that are coming up, what we call as leading indicators, which means unsafe acts and conditions, even before an incident, and near misses. These are things even before an incident occurs, so that we can take the necessary corrective actions and arrest incidents before they happen. So that is the visibility that we wanted, and we went on, and then we wanted a single platform to record the incidents, the near misses, safety observations, and standardize on that. Hence, we went in for that. So one of the key modules that we looked at was the incident management. Uh, Along with that, we also looked at health and safety, environmental reporting. We are a strong proponent of environmental reporting, which we give as part of our annual reports, and the management of change and permit to work. Though we did look to operationalize all of this, we excluded management of changes in the initial phase, and we would be taking it up subsequently. But other four areas are the ones that we've actually rolled out to all of tier one plants. So to give a view of the to be the earlier state and what we went to, we had multiple reporting systems across tier one and tier two plants. And now the aim is to move to a single system for safety reporting, and we are in that journey. So it's a long journey considering the number of plants we have globally, but we are very clearly there in that journey. And earlier, the investigation for any incident that happened was manual. Now we are doing a very system-driven investigation, the detailed root cause analysis using our own methodology called ICAM. Then earlier, the safety audits were done manually, and now we have a checklist-driven safety audits done through EHS. Uh, uh, and then we also have periodic workplace inspections. And safety audits are done by the safety managers, and workplace inspections are done periodically, once a month or once in 2 months, by the supervisors who are part of the operational team. So to improve the workplace safety. Then the other one is to track the operational risks. So we are using EHS for that as well. And most importantly is all of these are tracking risks. But what really improves the safety on the ground are the corrective and preventive actions. This is the actionable safety on the ground. So the system is now, earlier it was manual, and now we're using the system to record corrective actions, assign resources, prioritize them, and track the execution of corrective actions on the ground through the system. This is one of the biggest benefits of EHS, uh, clearly improving safety on the ground with necessary corrective actions. So the starting point, and this is the most popular app which we've used, is for incident reporting. The starting point is to understand what the problem is. So hence we designed a mobile app. This is an SAP app that we modified. It's part of the EHS suite. We branded that as Safe for Lamb, and we made it very easy to report. It's a fairly user friendly tool where people can use it intuitive. It's very intuitive, and people don't need too much training to use it. And we also built in some ways of making it even more intuitive, so that anybody can record it. So and people use it in the plants, the manufacturing plants, to take pictures whenever they see a problem, an unsafe act, or unsafe condition in the plant, and they take pictures, and then they just record the incident, record it as a near miss or a safety observation, and then send it across. So this has been a big hit with us, as we see, and that has led to a lot of actionable improvements. So overall, some statistics: we have 71 tier one plants, 37 in Africa, 8 in Europe, 14 in Americas, of which 13 are in the US, and 12 in Asia Pacific, of which one is in Australia and the 11 are in Asia. These are all tier one big size manufacturing facilities. And we have, as we speak, rolled out to 65 sites. This is a program that has been done in over, let's say, less than 2 years, of which we spent about 6 to 8 months building a global template, and we piloted in 4 plants in Africa. And after that, once we perfected the template, then we took it out and started rolling out. And we've been rolling out the balance 60 plants in about less than 12 months. So and we've managed to keep the space even despite this COVID striking us in the middle of the program. So, and the target is to complete all the 71 by the year end and move out of the earlier safety system that we were using, because we are terminating all the maintenance at the end of this year, and we don't intend to continue. So it's a must go situation, and we are on track for that. So some of the other statistics that we wanted to say are, you can see that there are about 6,000 users, more than 6,000 users that we've been using it. And we have over 33,000 unsafe acts, which are leading indicators, which means they are recorded at, before an event happens and help to prevent incidents from occurring actually. Over 4,000 corrective actions. This is the actionable safety. 2,500 audits that are done across the site, 236 risk assessments, and 8,000, close to 9,000 safety work permits. Before any maintenance activities are done, we've mandated the use of safety work permits through EHS to ensure that the safety clearance is taken. Just some snapshots. Normally, I mean, I've been handling many IT programs, including SAP in different geographies. The interesting thing, normally what happens is we train 100 users and 50 of them, or worst case, best case, 40 of them end up using the system actively. EHS is the only project where we have trained far fewer number of people and far more people have been using the system. Simply because that mobile app is extremely user friendly, and people find a lot of relevance to the solution, and they really want to contribute to improving, to reporting on safety, to improving it. And this is a trend that we are seeing across geographies. So just want to take a snapshot. So this is how we set up kiosks in different places. The first one is a plant in UK. The other one is a plant in California, Gilroy. The other one, these are all locations. The other one is how it's set up in Turkey. The other one is in Spain, and the last one is in Nigeria, Lagos. So again, different places, different ways. It could be a tablet, a PC, but it's a similar thing. So in every plant, we've set up a kiosk, and anybody can get into that. Uh, Anybody, it can be an employee, a contractor, anybody working in the facility will have access to this location. It's in a central place and can report on safety. The reason why we have designed this program, this as part of the program, is safety reporting is for all. Any and every person in the facility should be able to report on anything that he sees as a risk for safety. And this is very important, and this has contributed to the safety team coming to know that problems exist. Most of the time, the problem is they don't even come to know that problem exists. Somebody notices something's wrong, but they have no way of reporting, and they just move on till actually the incident hits us. So this has been minimized and reduced to a large extent because of this program and the way we've designed the system. So again, this is to say that there are good users and bad users, and I mean we would say areas for improvement. So we would say that there are a lot of sites which are heavy users in different areas, and certain sites where the usage is yet to pick up. Probably one of the reasons is training. Training and language have always been skills for us. So, for example, in Nigeria, in many of the locations, we've seen a very good usage for incidents, whereas in certain other places where the incident usage is yet to pick up. So, similarly for work permits, there are sites where it's done very well. These are sites in Ghana and Ivory Coast where it's picked up very well, whereas there are sites in Europe where it's not really picked up. Some of the plants in Netherlands have some regulatory requirements where it's not really picked up. So those are things. Similarly for work permits, there are some sites which is good, and some sites which is way to improve. So we see a trend across geographies because of multiple factors, and we are working with the teams to improve that. So this is just to give you that the scale of the usage that is being carried out. It's not. It's a really large scale implementation program that we've been doing on EHS, and we have all the goods and bads. And overall, we would say that it has been a fairly successful program for us, and even been acknowledged globally by the safety and IT leadership as well. So this is the slide on the corrective and preventive actions. We see that a significant percentage of corrective and preventive actions are happening in primarily pertaining to either mechanical, electrical, or civil areas. This is the nature of the problem where the corrective actions are happening with respect to safety, improving the safety, and predictably most of it is happening in the production area, and a certain percentage, smaller percentage happening in the packing area, and some in the office space as well. So this is just to give you a flavor of where all the corrections are happening after introducing the system. These are on-ground improvements that we've seen. Some of the comments. One was, this is the first one is grains milling facility in Nigeria, where there was a dangling rooftop and a bulk loading operation, where there was a bulk loading done, and this was reported. It's not that people have not seen, but it was formally reported to the safety person, and using a mobile app, and then this was fixed immediately. So the other is wet flows. Wet flows is a frequent problem in most of our locations, and the specific, while we consciously avoid this, especially cases which are very vulnerable, we keep doing corrective actions on that once they're reported. Then the other is in an elevator, the carrier chain link was broken in a plant in Turkey, and that was reported. Then similarly, the other areas have been in Germany. There's a heat exchanger was leaking. It's a cocoa processing facility where the heat exchanger was leaking, and it would have burst otherwise. So that was then identified quickly. Similarly, in Vietnam, we've had power problems that were reported and quickly fixed. So across, we have, this is just to give a snapshot that we've had the people, in the factories, they've been reporting on all kinds of safety issues using the system, and the safety team has been able to identify and fix them before they span out into incidents. So we've seen a significant improvement in the safety reporting as we go through the thing. So what we see is unsafe acts and condition reporting has increased, which is what we want. These are leading indicators before an event happens, and the number of incidents themselves are coming down, are far lower, like a medically treated case or a first aid case. Those are actually coming down. If you see, the numbers are very less, as we see. Clearly, the preventive safety is the way to go, and it's leading to actual improvement in the safety. The other things that we've done is earlier workplace inspection, where the supervisors take responsibility for the safety of their own workplaces and do periodic audits once a month or once in 2 months. It was more of a, it was more of a convention, but was never enforced through a system. Now EHS has given the facility to enforce the adoption of this practice. That is a good thing that we've done as an operational practice. And maintenance activities, normally what used to happen is work permits were done on paper, and many times they were done after the work was carried out, more for a compliance point of view. Now with the coming of a system and a clear trail in the system, the safety assessment and the work permit has to be issued before the activity is carried out, and that has led to a far better compliance and better safety. One area where we found that the system was not that user friendly and we probably could not do that well was on operational risk assessment. It's not a problem with the system per se, but what we would say is it needs a lot of rigor in the risk assessment, and the safety team found that it was too rigorous, and they wanted a more simplified system to do the assessment of risks. So one of the things that we are working on is to see how we can simplify the system better. Since our bandwidth has been involved primarily in rolling out across the plant, which is a fairly big task, given the COVID situation where we are rolling out from offshore, we've not been focused as much on simplifying the system. That's something that we will take up once the rollouts are completed. So just to summarize, this is an implementation being done at scale and speed for 71 plants globally with a standardized set of reporting on safety. It's a highly templatized rollout, which is fast and cost effective. We follow a checklist-driven approach for the rollout itself, and all the trainings are remote. And that's how we've been able to manage during this COVID. And the mobile app and kiosk have been a big hit and have significantly contributed to the improved safety reporting. And the team has handled language translations for 11 languages. So safety is a very local thing because the local workforce is involved. And we've done the system, and especially with work permits and audits. So we've done this in 11 languages catering to local needs. Now, what the final slide, what are we doing as additional for COVID? So we are doing thermal scanning for all employees in the sites and offices as part of the safety precautions. There have been reductions in the number of production staff in all the facilities so that we ensure social distancing is in place. We capture all the visitor information in a log and track the travel history. Within the EHS system, we've captured COVID as a separate incident category. And whenever an incident happens, corrective actions are implemented to control the spread of COVID. We've had incidents as well in our facilities, and the impact of an incident is we'll have to shut down the plant for a few days mandatorily as required, and we have to disinfect the facility, and it leads to loss of productive time. So the impact is quite severe. Even if we have a few incidents of COVID, the impact is quite severe on the workplace, and hence this has been taken very critically by the team. And EHS has been quite a useful solution for us overall for safety as well as for COVID. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you. I've taken a little more of time, but pardon me, but I think you would have got the picture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Venkat, for the knowledge-laden presentation. And with this, it's time to take questions from the audience. I request Christian and Yogesh to come on camera and join Venkat to address the audience questions. So we have Christian and Yogesh with us, and we'll take some questions. We have lots of questions from the audience. So probably I'll just pick up as many as we can. So the first question, please, as I read out the questions, any one of you can take the questions as you deem fit. So the first question is, do we need to be on SAP S4 landscape to utilize or implement the solution?
No, I would take that straight away. In fact, some of our sites were not even on SAP. And some of them are in a separate SAP instance. So the way we implemented was, this is part of a global template landscape, which is used by most of the countries. Some of the sites were not there, but so they could implement these modules even without the need for having SAP or being on a different version of SAP. There are certain aspects where an integration would become relevant, primarily when you're tying it back to SAP's plant maintenance. But if that is not being done, then whatever we've spoken about can be implemented standalone.
Okay. For that, okay. The next question is, can you suggest best points to be put and make best SOP for force majeure during pandemic? Because most of the companies are running on minimum capacity and asking liquidity damages waived off, relaxing sample. Some company plants are still not running in full capacity and hampers their productivity capacity.
I can take a shot at it, Momita.
Right, Yogesh.
So on this question, as you were asking about SOP, we have already mentioned that the most of the companies would be running at a lower capacity than what you used to do before. So the standard operating procedure would pretty much be, I think I'll take out some of the extract from that 8-step procedure which I mentioned, would be more about defining how many people you are expecting to get back based upon total number of people, the information to collect from them, and based upon how many people you can accommodate with that safe distancing measures. So I'll all these things I will coin it into a term called an appropriate work shift planning. how many people in per shift can be accommodated is the first thing which I will look at. And based upon that entire workplace redesign, collecting the information from my employees, those everything would actually help me arrive at that workplace planning. Now, at the back end, when I'm working in my plant or in my operation, I have to ensure that we do have the appropriate sanitizing measures, the thermal scanning, as Venkat mentioned, that the thermal scanning is more or less essential. A more frequent eyes and ears on the ground while with respect to the operations. And that's where I think there was a question on behavioral-based safety as well. When safety is not pushed or safety is not imposed, but safety is being called out for. Those kind of things are something which we probably can leverage. And mobile application, like Venkat, you yourself mentioned, things like mobile application where you take a kind of again, take a picture, send a notification quick and fast, creates incentives for the groups which are able to create more observations. Again, talking about observation, incidents anybody will report, but more observations which are created ahead of the time, create those some kind of an incentive mechanism. That's way encourage the people to embrace safety earlier than kind of after impact or a situation. I'm not sure, Venkat and Christian, do you agree with me? Those are some of the things which will probably build a little healthier and safer workplace.
Agree.
That's right. That's right.
And if I may add to the question with the SOP, the standard operating procedures, I have to admit I was struggling a bit with this question because it's not about having a list of these are the 10 best suitable controls or points to put on an SOP. And this is also not how we approach it in our EHS application. The SOP is basically generated out of the risk assessment. So it's very important if you do a proactive assessment of hazardous situations in the COVID context, you use the risk assessment to do that. And then you get a clear picture. What are the actual risks on the hazards? Is it contact? Is it too many people there? And based on that, you need to define it and put it on the SOP. So it's really very dependent on the context of the specific workplace and of the situation the people have there.
Right, Christian. So the next question, we'll just quickly run through all of them because there are quite many and we will try to touch upon as many as possible. Yeah. So somebody's asking, can you send me more details of permit to work automation and your customers where you have provided the solution in Alco Bev sector? So probably we can touch base offline and do this.
Yep.
Right. Yes. Okay. So the next question is, can you elaborate on predictive analytics module?
Yeah, what we leverage here is we use the data out of EHS and merge them with other operational data. And we use our SAP Analytics Cloud to do that. And this application already comes with some basic predictive algorithms and functionalities. And that provides certain functionalities there. So if the person wants to have more details on that, please feel free just to reach out to me directly.
Right. And who is the SAP HSE user, HSE professional or end users?
Yeah, I've seen that question. Someone was wondering about these 1.3 million users. I think it got clear also from Yogesh and Venkat. We consider users as the entire workforce, and this is how we roll our applications out and how we design the applications. I usually make a really a big point on having the right applications for each stakeholder group in the company. So you need to have very simple, easy mobile applications, as Venkat mentioned. And the other side, the practitioners, we need to have comprehensive functionality. So with a screen with 10 buttons, usually we cannot do our job. So it needs to be easy, intuitive, but comprehensive functionality needs to be there. So therefore, users are everybody when it comes to certain processes, for sure.
Yeah. And just to add to what Christian mentioned, Mamita, the previous question was about predictive. And when we're talking about predictive, it needs a lot of data and lots of information. Without you having the ocean of data and the predictive parameters, this predictive analysis will not make sense. So when the expectation is next generation, expectation is futuristic, definitely a lot of data has to be churned around. While we are trying to make the life easy at a user end, at the EHS manager or an administrative end, or as Christian mentioned, those people probably have to look at this information in much detailed way. Investigation probably has to be done in a 3-way process or a 5-way process or 5-way or whatever process you follow it, just to ensure that you arrive at the right kind of corrective actions and define an appropriate task management within the system with the right priority and right due dates.
Right, Yogesh. Okay, so the next question is how we can do behavior implementation through such digital mechanisms?
I think Frank had already provided great examples on that. We need to engage with the workforce, and if we make that compelling and easy enough, and if we have processes also in the background showing later on the people that things are changing. I mean, this is the whole notion around science, and we have an entire team which we share with success factor people, psychologists, understanding workforce, how people on the ground working, and how we can influence them. So it's about changing the behavior of people and triggering that and fostering that with applications.
Right. The next question is, what is the solution for waste management in S/4HANA? As earlier, it was there in ECC and no more there.
I'm glad I put that even on the slide. If you remember one of my earlier slides, I showed the portfolio and I emphasized that next year in Q3, we will have the new application being available in S/4HANA. So it's still evolving, as you see.
Okay. The next question: how IoT AI can be helpful for EHS management at the industries?
It's a tough one. In a short thing, I mean, there's so many use cases. Honestly, I mean, if you look at monitoring working environments with different devices. Getting that feedback, not just from the people, also from sensors. We have collaborations with partners, they do image recognition. So also realizing hazards and proactively pushing that to the people. So this is really about creating this situational awareness at the front line, and technology can help a lot there. And artificial intelligence takes a piece of information, puts it into the context, not just EHS, also operations, what is going on in maintenance, what kind of production is currently done, and makes it then, evaluates it, makes decision, and again, pushes it to the person. So that there's a lot going on, and there's true benefit, and we can see a lot of customers playing around with that. Doing POCs, but already starting getting productive. It was a short cut.
I'll answer that. So if the larger question is on technology trends, there are enough technology trends that are there on safety. Drones is one of them, where drones will help in surveillance of remote places, work at height places. That's one of them. Then we have smart vests for workers is another. Then we have thermographic cameras. So we have, I mean, there are just enough and more of technology trends that are there, which are being used to improve the workplace safety. And these are only getting added by the day. And we are actually using some of these also, yeah.
Right. Okay, so with this, we'll take the next question. Is the solution a product from YASH Technologies or SAP standard product? And is this a cloud-based solution?
I may take this question. So the solution which we demonstrated is a SAP standard solution. YASH is as an implementation partner. We have pre-packaged it to bring you a faster implementation time. In spite of going for a standard approach of implementation, we go for this packaged approach, but the solution is pretty much the standard SAP solution. So you get still the best of what SAP provides with, I think, a value additions from YASH as a company. And it's not necessarily a cloud solution. It can be implemented on-prem as well as on cloud based upon whatever your IT architecture or landscape suggests.
Sure. Okay. So next question is, success of EHS management is incomplete without effective participation of all stakeholders, especially on ground workers, vendors, laborers. Technology sometimes becomes barrier for them to be inclusive of EHS system. Any views on how simplification of software, reducing hardware dependency is taken care of in SAP modules?
Pretty good question. I think, yeah, so we have been talking about it at the start, as Venkat also mentioned, simplification. Make it simpler for the larger mass. I think if I take an 80-20 rule, for 80% of the population, the solution should be a cakewalk. It should be reporting, using mobile application, capturing in the data, pushing the data to the right people. And then it comes to the other 20% people, or again, if I further divide, maybe those 10% people who have to actually work on this data, digest this information, and bring that meaningful information out. So user adoption is linked with simplicity. S/4HANA itself is a simplified, is a user-based, role-based, authorization-based system, which makes kind of the accessibility much easier. We have seen that the UI and mobility aspect and the user interface, the user experience with S/4HANA is very high with very high and positive with the existing application, and EHS being a part of the solution in S/4HANA itself pretty much gives the user the comfort of simplicity. Furthermore, mobile application like incident reporting, audit being available on mobile devices makes user life easy, and hence adoption picks up on the adoption. Christian and Venkat, would you like to quickly add something? I think Venkat, you already mentioned it.
Yes, I already mentioned what we found as EHS, that app that we already have by default in SAP, as one of the most easy to use apps. And as I said, this is the only system where it has been actually trained. It is not there in any other SAP system where we really have to struggle to make people understand and use the system normally. But EHS is so very user friendly that for the users, that I mean, it was a great hit that we had in Olam.
Okay, great to know that from
Venkat. That recalls me of, Momita, if I may take 30 more seconds,
sure.
That recalls me of my other project. So in this entire organization, which is almost like a $12 billion organization, there are two programs which are, I'll call it as the centralized program. One is the Workday. The Workday got implemented all around, and the second was EHS. So these two programs were used globally by all 40 plants, because a new site which was acquired in Israel can be deployed, or we can onboard them into EHS solution within 3 weeks. While an ERP or maybe again, the entire IT transformation will take some time. But with respect to EHS, they could start using those incident management and then audit management functionality, their checklist within 3 weeks of time. The adoption was much higher, much quicker, and a pretty successful program in this project as well, as you mentioned. Sometimes gamification, maybe creating more kind of an, I think, smart dashboards where you can show plant A versus plant B, division A versus division B, how the trends are following with respect to the positive side of it, not on the incident, but more with respect to positive observation, behavior-based safety, audit compliances. Sometimes it helps build that culture.
So gauging the excitement, want to know if Christian wants to give his inputs on this.
What's that question?
If you would like to mention something around this, yeah. So the user adoption simplification, how can it help we build much positive and safer culture?
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we discussed it exhaustively. I think the best way is really to give you a demo of the application if you still question that. I know SAP is not always famous for good user interfaces, but and therefore I'm really glad to hear that from Venkat directly. Here in SAP, in EHS, we made big efforts to engage with the workforce and make it easy for them.
Okay, so we take our next question, which is health data is personal and individual do not want to share with organization. Is there any solution where individual data is kept with individual and only insight shared with organization? Useful insight shared with only the required information shared with the organization, perhaps.
Yeah, so I may take a shot at it. So based upon the PII, personal information identification, and based upon various HIPAA compliances, if there is any individual information like which need not to be shown outside, those things can be controlled. In fact, in Europe, we cannot even show the person who got injured, and that's where on the injury report we don't show the name of the person or the employee ID. It becomes an employee of this site. We can show his workplace, we can show his details, but not his name and email ID. So those things can be masked in an external report, but in the internal report, definitely this is all it's our internal system. This will be captured, but on the output reports, whenever it is being submitted to an external agency or probably a third person for investigation, those details can be masked. And systems like SAP probably has been pretty mature in meeting some of these compliance requirements because the usage of the system or this safety, security, compliance goes beyond just EHS. So we have to meet these requirements more often than just this scenario.
Right, Yogesh. And the next question is, how can we strengthen our safety audits through SAP?
And I mean, this is, you can imagine.
Okay, the question is, how can we strengthen our safety audits through SAP?
Okay, so let me take a shot at it. So what we've done is there are two ways. One is that we have a periodic audit that is being done by the safety team, which is once in a 6 month or once in a year kind of an audit. There we have devised a mobile app for audits with a checklist where the people, where the audit person takes the mobile app around and he fills the checklist as he goes around. And whenever he sees something which is out of the place with respect to safety, he actually takes a snapshot and attaches to that audit report. So it all is part of one audit report. The output is then submitted to EHS, and it can also be taken out as an audit report if required. So that is for the audit managers. More important thing is we've given a lighter facility, lighter application for supervisors, operational supervisors who take responsibility for different areas of the plant. These are not safety members, but operations team. So they themselves have to do a periodic workplace inspection once in a month or once in 2 months, inspect the safety aspect in their own areas of control and report. And that has also been done through that, and that is more frequent and leads to better improvement in safety and leads to better engagement with the production team, ultimately who need to safeguard the safety and will also be impacted by that. So yes, so these are two ways we've been using it for carrying out safety audits through EHS system.
Okay, so with this, we come to the end of the Q&A session. Sorry, somebody has complimented saying excellent presentation and useful discussion. And with this, perhaps I will call Mr. Rajiv to give away the vote of thanks. Rajiv, can we have you on camera?
So yeah, thank you, Mohita, and what a fascinating session, right? I mean, I was just listening. We had the product perspective. Possibly we have done at thousands of customers' place. We had a partner speaker who has implemented at multiple industries, multiple organizations, giving an implementation perspective. And we had a customer with almost 40,000 plus employees and how they have implemented this, getting an end user perspective. I think I personally loved the way all the questions, how we address some of the questions, very complicated questions. You know, I'm happy we got a perspective right from product to implementation to end customer, and was pretty happy. Thank you, Christian, specifically giving us the whole perspective of how we have evolved, how the safety as a perspective in industry has evolved. Yogesh, for bringing the perspective. I love the way you said, how do we build some of the in newer areas, how to build safer and resilient workspace, right? So the way you started and how the solution can help in it. And Mr. Venkat, I had personally not heard of LTIFR and TRFR, some of these things, and I really take those as feedback. I mean, input to me, my learning. Really happy that you could demonstrate some of the technology that SAP has built through your mobile app. I think I love that entire perspective. With that, I just wanted to conclude by saying that this whole safety thing and employee health and safety as a concept, we believe can be comprehensively addressed by a solution like SAP EHS, and where your incidents can be managed. You can do a proactive uh, uh, strategy. You can build a proactive strategy around employee health and safety using this solution. And today we have the ecosystem, right, from partners like YASH and skills available in the market to take it really and implement it. And as Yogesh mentioned in one of the in his last comments, that this can be really short. And with this COVID times, where you'll be struggling to implement very long, large projects, this can be absolutely immediate initiative that you can pick up. It's on cloud. You don't have to really go for hardware. Implement very in a very short span of time, very fast. So with that, I just wanted to thank everyone, all the speakers. Thank you, and over to you, Momita, for concluding remarks.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. Thank you, Venkat, Christian, Yogesh. It was great having you all today with us. Thank you, all the audience, for joining us today in this webinar. I would also like to mention again that all attendees will receive a digital certificate for their participation in the webinar. Also, please do not leave without filling the feedback form, which will be flashed right in front of you as the webinar ends. Your feedback is extremely valuable for us. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mamita. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks.